Hello, everybody. So let's continue our discussion of volume. And today we're going to apply the volume formula. And our essential question is how can you use a formula to find the volume of a rectangular prism? And we're on page 499 of the fifth grade Go Math textbook. So let's go ahead and get started. So keep in mind that both of these prisms have the same dimensions and have the same volume. So here we just are basically being shown cubes. But if we just drew the prism, it's still this 3 inches is the same as the 3 inches on this one. Okay, so if you have 3 times 4 times 4, they would be the same, right? All right, so Mike is making a box to hold his favorite DVDs. The length of the box is 7 inches, the width is 5 inches, and the height is 3 inches. What is the volume of the box Mike is making? And so remember, underline what we're asked to find. We have to find the volume and circle the numbers we need. Well, since volume is a three-dimensional shape, or refers to a three-dimensional shape, we need the length of the box, which is 7, the width, which is 5. That'll be the base, right? And we need to know that there are 3 layers, basically, 3 inches tall. So one way we can solve this is use length, width, and height. And the formula would be volume is length times width times height. Now we don't want to write out length, width, height every time. So we're going to just use L for length, W for width, and H for height, and V for volume. So identify the length, width, and height of the rectangular prism. So I see it has a length of 7 inches. It has a width of 5 inches, and it has a height of 3. Well, so our first step would be to multiply the length and the width. So we're going to go 7 inches times 5 inches, which would give us 35 inches squared. So the base shape, the rectangle here, is 35 inches squared. There's going to be 3 sets of those 35 because we're 3 inches tall. So 35 times 3. 3 times 5 is 15. Regroup that as 1 10 and 5 ones. 3 times 3 tens is 9 tens, plus the regroup 10, 10. So we have 105 inches cubed. Okay. Now, while they're telling us to do length times width times height, you can rearrange these instead and say, well, I want to use 3 times 5 instead first and go 15 times 7. We could do that. We can switch the order of the 3 and 5. Okay, so once we have the numbers in the formula, it doesn't matter which way we multiply them, right? Because the operation is the same. Okay, it's just that we have to multiply all 3 numbers. All right, page 500. So you've learned one formula for finding the volume of a rectangular prism. You can also use another formula. When that formula will be the volume equals the base area times the height. Now, why do we want to know this volume formula? Well, because I can apply this volume formula to any prism. Okay, so if I know the base of any prism and I know the height, I can tell you the volume. Okay, because not every base shape is going to have length and width. Okay. All right. So volume equals base times height, where B is the area of the base shape and H is the height. All right. So use the area of the base shape and height. Emilio's family has a sandcastle kit. The kit includes molds for several solid figures that can be used to make sandcastles. One of the molds is a rectangular prism like the one shown at the right. How much sand will it take to fill the mold? So volume can be found by finding the base, the area of the base, times its height. Well, in this case, the base is 5 times 4, and the height is 8. You'll see that this is basically length times width times height, right? So how do we find the area of the base? We multiply the length and the width. So the base is 20, and the height is 8. So 8 times 2 tens is 16 tens, or 160 cubic inches. All right, find the volume of this shape. And they want us to use length times width times height. But remember, length times width is the same as finding the area of the base. So 7 times 4 is the base, and the height is 5. So 7 times 4 is 28. 28 times 5. 5 times 8 is 40, right? Regroup that as 4 tens and 0 ones. 5 times 2 tens is 10 tens, plus the 4 regroup tens is 14 tens. So 140 cubic feet. All right, B. So here, find the unknown measurement. So here they're telling us the volume of this whole shape is 60 cubic centimeters. And they give me the length, they give me the width, but they didn't tell me the height. But since I know the other two dimensions and I know the volume, I can figure out the other dimension by dividing. So if we have 60 cubic centimeters, and we know that the length is 5 and the width is 4, we can still figure out that missing dimension. And 5 times 4 is 20, so 20 centimeters squared. How many 20 centimeter squares will it take to equal 60? Well, I can take 60 and just divide by 20. Because the opposite of multiplication is division. So if we're saying 20 times something is the missing number, then it's the same thing as saying 60 divided by that factor. So 3. 3 times 20 is 60. All right, number 1, find the volume. So I want you to write out the formula. Okay, volume equals length times width times height, and then plug in the numbers that are in the shape. So we're figuring out the volume. We know the length is 2. We know the width is 4. And we know the height is 5. Okay. Multiply 2 of the numbers together. Again, it doesn't matter. But 2 times 4, I'm going to do 2 times 4 is 8. And 8 times 5 is 40. So 40 cubic feet. And we can actually even write in the dimensions in our problem. So when we said 8, that's 8 feet squared times the height, which would give us 40 feet cubed. Number 2. Okay, again, we're asked to find the volume. So what is the volume formula? Length times width times height, or capital B for base times height. And we're going to plug in the numbers. 4 centimeters for the length, 4 centimeters for the width, and it has a height of 9 centimeters. So 4 times 4 times 9. So the base is 16 centimeters squared. So each layer is 16 centimeters squared. And we have 9 layers. So 16 times 9. 9 times 6 is 54. Regroup as 5 tens and 4 ones. 9 times 1 10 is 9, plus the 5 regroup tens, 14. So we have 144 centimeters cubed. Okay. Number 3. Again, we're finding the volume. So volume equals length times width times height, which is the same as saying base times height. So base times height, or length times width times height. So 6 times 6 times 6. Six times 6 is 36 inches squared times a height of 6. So 36 times 6. 6 times 6, 36. Regroup as 3 tens and 6 ones. 6 times 3 tens is 18 tens, plus 3 more is 21 tens. So 216 inches cubed. Number 4. Volume equals base times height, or length times width times height. They mean the same thing. I could just go 4 times 12, which is 48. That would be the base, and 48 times 4. Or I can write it out. 12 times 4 times 4. Okay, so 12 times 4 is 48. 48 feet squared is the base, and the height is 4. So 48 times 4, 192 cubic feet. Okay, number 5. So volume equals the base times the height, or length times width times height. The base in this case, 10 times 6 is 60, 60 times 4. 60 times 4. 4 times 6 tens is 24 tens, so 240 cubic centimeters. Number 6. Volume equals base times the height, which is the same as saying length times width times height. So the volume is 14 inches by 6 inches by 12 inches. 14 times 6 times 12. So 14 times 6 is 84. So the base is 84 inches squared, and its height is 12 inches. So 84 times 12. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 times 2. 2 times 8 tens is 16 tens. We're moving over to multiplying by the tens. 10 times 4 ones is 40. And 110 times 8 tens, or 10 times 10 is 800. So 8, 10, 1,008 inches cubed for number 6. Number 7. So on 7, they give us the volume, but we're missing our height. So again, we're going to go length times width times height to find the volume, right? They gave us the volume, so let's plug in 420 to replace the V. They did give us the length, so let's replace the length with 7. They gave us the width of 6, so replace the W with 6. And they did not tell us the height. Okay, so we have 420 equals 7 times 6 is 42 times the height. Okay, well, this is actually a very easy one, right? So if 42 times something is 420, it's the same as saying 420 divided by one of the factors will give us the other factor. So 420 divided by 42. This is 10. So H is 10 feet. 7 times 6 is 42. 42 times 10 is 420. All right, number 8. All right, here again, they gave us the volume, and they gave us the length and the width, but they didn't give us the height. So volume equals length times width times height. 900 equals, replace the length with 6, replace the width with 15, and solve for the height. 6 times 15 is 90. So 90 times something is 900. All right, so what's 900 divided by 90? 10. $90 times 10, 900. All right, number 9. The Jade Restaurant has a large aquarium on display in its lobby. The base is 5 by 2. The height is 4. How many cubic feet of water are needed? So they're telling us volume is base times height. So the base is 5 times 2, and the height is 4. So its volume is 10 times 4, so 40 cubic feet. All right, let's look at number 10. The Pearl Restaurant put a larger aquarium in its lobby. The base of their aquarium is 6 by 3, and its height is 4. How many more cubic feet does the Pearl Restaurant's aquarium hold than the Jade? All right, well, the base of the Pearl Restaurant is 6 by 3, and its height is 4. So 18 times 4 is 72 cubic feet. Okay, the question didn't ask me how much the Pearl Restaurant was. It wants to know how much more. So 72 cubic feet minus 40 cubic feet is 32 cubic feet more. All right, number 11. Eddie measured his aquarium using a small fish food box. The box has a base area of 6 and a height of 4. Eddie found that the volume of his aquarium is 3,456 cubic inches. How many boxes of fish food could fit in the aquarium? All right, so again, volume equals base times height. They tell us the base is 6 and the height of the box is 4. So each of the small fish food box is 24 inches cubed. So how many of those 24 inches cubed can be taken from 3,456? So we're just going to divide. All right, so it's going to be 144 boxes. Volume of the fish box, of the fish food box. 6 times 4, or 24 inches cubed. Divide 3,456 by 24 to get 144. And number 12. Manuel stores his favorite CDs in a box like the one shown. Okay, uses symbols, numbers and symbols on the tiles to write a formula that represents the volume of the box. Symbols may be used more than once or not at all. Okay, so let's just start with what we know the volume formula to be. Volume equals length times width times height. Okay, let's see. Do we know these things? Well, we have to find the volume, so we're going to use the V. We're going to use the equal sign. Do we know the length? Yes, we know the length is 15 centimeters. Times the width. We know the width is 10 centimeters. And we know the height is 7 centimeters. Okay. So that's our formula. Now we just have to solve it. So 15 times 10, that's 150. Okay. So the base is 150 centimeters squared times 7 centimeters. So 1,050 cubic centimeters. All right. So that's it for basically how to apply the volume formula to find volume and to find an unknown measurement in a volume problem. In our next lesson, we'll be talking about comparing volumes. So until then, I'll see you soon.